Hello, Dan Joss. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Great.
So we're looking at a new year, and some people have lots of things going on in their lives this year, and some folks are hoping to retire, and some folks are hoping to not retire. So let's talk about retirement a little bit because people have different mindsets on it.
They do. And I've already had a couple conversations, probably in the last couple of weeks, about what retirement is. And everyone has their own definition. And I think it was probably a decade ago, Mitch Anthony wrote a book called The New Retirementality. And in it is a chapter called Retirement is More Than an Economic Event. And as much as people plan for retirement, I would submit the traditional retire at 65 is no longer traditional. A author wrote The Prosperous Retirement, Michael Stein. He said, I have come to the conclusion that more retirements will fail for non-financial reasons than for financial reasons. And we all remember Alice in Wonderland came to a place where there were many roads. She stopped and asked the owl for directions. The owl asked, you know where you want to go? Alice said, no. Well, then the owl said, it doesn't make any difference which path you take now.
That's true. Yeah.
So, yeah, just as important as saving for retirement is having a vision and figuring out for yourselves what that means for you.
So there's got to be some money tied to this somewhere, I would guess.
It is. And so when we talk about what retirement is for us as individuals, we're going to get as many individuals as there are different answers. And so I encourage people to think about what they'll be doing, where will they be, who will they be with. You know, there's just as many days in retirement as there are in a work week. What are you going to be doing? There's, morning, afternoon, evening if you don't head to the office. And so designing what that ideal week or month or year is, where you'll be, who you'll be with, and what will you be doing starts to help us better identify what that would cost. So if it's a second home in the warm weather, there's an additional cost to having that in a retirement. And then it's easier to plan for that. If the retirement picture doesn't have a second house in it, well, then what does it have? And where will you be? But beyond the numbers, it's just not economics. We need to maintain our physical health, our mental health, our diet, exercise, our social relations. That's part of when I ask what will you be doing, who will you be doing it with? There's relations in our sphere of influence where we're at and in our family. And then I had a conversation recently with a client that said, I suppose I'll probably find a cause. Okay, so then that could be either spiritual discipline or intellectual stimulation to put ourselves into others and invest in that while we're in retirement. Most of the retirees that I talk with are busier than they were during their work years.
Right.
Because their calendar frees them up to do all sorts of activities.
All those things that they wanted to do all along.
Right. And so for pre-retirees, doing some of those things before retirement and not just putting them all off. And for retirees, having that in your mind as part of your vision of what retirement means will go a long way towards keeping us physically and mentally healthy in retirement.
Okay. And all that is part of what you discuss when somebody comes to you to seek advice, because that's part of the big picture.
Yeah, it is. And so it's waiting to hear what that future life is. Some people are taking sabbaticals and then going back to work and then retiring again. But listening to what that is, and then once we have an idea or a vision of what that future self looks like and what it costs, then we can invest and save and move towards fulfilling that.
Okay.
But we don't want to be caught off guard and become a sudden retirement. And probably during COVID, there were some people that were sudden retirees. And if we as individuals don't have that future vision in our mind, then we may just stall. And so, or where if we have a plan to retire, then we can be suddenly retired, take steps towards that future, and then work may come back. Or if not, then we're on to something else and seeking the challenges ahead.
And that's great that you take a holistic view to all of this and figure that in, because the answer to is, well, what do you want to do in retirement? Well, I just want to have a big pot of money. Not really as specific as one needs, is it?
No, and a big pot of money is just that. It's not useful unless you know what you're going to do with it.
Excellent. Well, Dan Joss, we appreciate you being here with us on Money Talks as always, and we want to advise them as to what they start to plan for their retirement.
They can call us at Josh Brown at 757-903-2127. And it's still early in the year. And so I'd encourage you to get on our calendars and make some progress in your personal lives.
All right. And the best way to find you online?
Online is joshbrown.com.
Money Talks is a weekly program presented for the listener's benefit and entertainment. It is provided at no cost to the listener, and the ideas, opinions, and comments are not to be construed as legal advice, tax advice, investment advice, or other advice specific to the listener. Listeners are encouraged to seek the advice of a licensed professional or other qualified party when dealing with financial, legal, tax, medical, investment, insurance, taxidermy, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, real estate, chiropractic, veterinary, oral hygiene, hot air ballooning, etc. We have given you some food for thought. Now, call a licensed professional such as Dan Joss at 757-903-2127. Thanks for listening, and remember, failing to plan is planning to fail.